Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tano's Hardcore Media. I have to do this video, and I was going to do it last week. And let me tell you, I've had experiences. Even before I was born, I had near-death experiences. Show me being inside the womb, being attacked, stuff like that. From near-death experience. So all throughout my life, I've had paranormal experiences. I know stuff that most people on Earth don't know about the supernatural because I've actually lived it. I can see like outside this dimension sometimes. I've been able to do that. Angels, demons, stuff like that. And this guy in these idiots and morons that so-called journalists that have been, some are tricked by other people into thinking that ETs are demons and stuff like that, and they're so full of shit and they get mind tricked and stuff like that. It's like a force, using a force, a mind trick or whatever. I gotta say, I've been abused, I've been brainwashed by these stupid Christian groups. Okay, they try and spin it. They try and spin ETs and stuff like that. And to say that they're demons because of alien abduction and stuff like that. What they do, you can say, is demonic, but it's not. Now, there's stuff in the Bible, like Ezekiel, stuff like that, talks about wheels in the sky, which are UFOs, and not to trust them, and stuff like that. And the thing is, they're ignorant, and they don't know anything about ETs and stuff like that. Or there are different, they're good ETs and NHI, stuff like that, non-human intelligence. And it pisses me off a lot more because, let me tell you, I've been abused by these idiots in Christian groups trying to brainwash me, and they told me I have demons inside of me, I'm controlled by Satan. So, let me tell you, it pisses me off. I'm going to attack these people, and stuff like that when they put out misinformation or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I get stuff from them, and I say it's just bullshit. And that's what it is. It's not. Okay? And one thing is, I don't believe in a stupid God that allows bad things to happen to people. My whole life has been in suffering. My whole life has been in suffering. A body that attacks itself over and over. Okay? So these guys don't know anything about that. If I was God, I would not allow human suffering, animals to kill other animals. I would not allow people to go hungry. I would not allow people to go without clothes, without shelter, without heat. So I curse those gods for a reason. I have no respect for them. I have none. Now let's get into this a bit.
It's what we found where Stockholm
Okay.
syndrome. That's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You see
Mm-hmm.
people that have gone through these horrific experiences,
I need to power
but all of a
on
sudden
again.
now they're preaching the alien gospel. And that's another thing we need to talk about here is this alien gospel. These entities bring a message. And that's the important thing that needs to look at. You need to look at here. What is this message that they're bringing? This message is always anti-God. They say that there are gods, anti-Christ, anti-Bible. Everything that we believe about Christianity.
That's not true. That is not true. And this is where they're brainwashed. And they try to brainwash people to try and spin a stupid Christian or whatever, Catholic or whatever Muslim, whatever religion, all right? You know, or if it's Judaism, I don't know. But they want to remain relevant. These stupid, you know, religions, I mean, if the truth is out, it counsels these religions. I mean, yes, there are other deities, there are other gods on the other side of stuff. They exist, all right? Thing is that they're lying about it, and it is in text. There is stuff in the Bible, very little, like one line, few lines, like Ezekiel, stuff like that. But let me tell you, the gods that are in human religious textbooks, the Quran, the Torah, whichever Christian Bible, there are different Christian Bibles and stuff. There's one to suit people's needs, you know, translated a specific way to suit their, you know, their way of living or their style. But thing is that these Bibles are on stupid tribalism, are based on tribes that have been at war for thousands of years. All right, and they are spin-offs from ones from Egypt, you know, from the pharaohs or Greece or whatever. They're given a different spin. You have seafarers that migrate back and forth to these countries. You know, what is today, you got Mesopotamia, you got Persia, and they spin these things around, they twist them around, and you have tribes that want to hate each other, and they make their religion. And this is the problem with what we have today, with, you know, idiots, you know, that pretty much want to kill each other. And those religions are not true, they are false.
Say is wrong. So we've got alien beings coming vast distances across space, the universe, just to preach to us that Christianity is wrong.
It's not just space, it's space and time. That they can warp around and twist reality and stuff like that. And the way that they are interdimensional as well, because they can warp subatomic structure, atoms, stuff like that, physical structures. They can go through that stuff. They can totally warp everything on a quantum physical scale.
Wrong. With all the different belief systems we got on this planet, they come here only to batch one. That's another red flag that I got to hold up and say something doesn't smell right here. And when you get enough of those,
and that's a common trait, or that's a common feature of the message that people in abduction are told by the aliens is that Christianity's bad.
Yes.
That is not true. That's not true. They do not always say that. They do not always say that. There's some abductions, some abductees that don't say that it. Listen, there's good and bad ETs. And this guy is totally twisting stuff. Alright? Is that me? I've gone over this for 30 fucking years. Okay? Of alien abduction. Okay? And the abductees that I have, okay, there are some that say they talk about God and stuff like that. They say there's no God and stuff like that. Like I said, ETs are just like humans. They're good and bad ones. They're going to say that. However, for these people, student Christians, to remain relevant, they twist this to their own agenda, their religion, and say they're demons. They're not demons.
That's pretty wild.
It is. So again, that doesn't make sense, you know, and they're not being told. Sense. Nobody's getting abducted in a country that follows, you know, Buddhism, and says
Yes, they do. They're all over the world. People get abducted. It's not just the U.S., you idiot.
It was wrong. No, you're not getting any of that. It's only to our Christianized nations and belief systems.
I remember, have you seen that documentary called Expelled?
Yeah.
That deals, okay, do you remember the scene toward the end of that where Ben Stein is sitting across from Richard Dawkins and he says, okay, let's grant you theoretically that there is no God. So then how do you explain the reality that we all inhabit? And he says, well, you know, I'll admit that there is a lot of signs of intelligence and it's growing, our DNA.
And the thing is that there's always a creator that created these ETs. There's other gods above them, and there's like the God that isn't just one God, but like a group of gods into one. The thing is that human religion says that God is a man. That's not entirely true. Again, you know, different people have their takes about things, but it's crazy unless you experience it yourself, is that all these stupid religions are trying to say ours is right, theirs is wrong. You see the BS of it all? And this is the thing, and this is where ETs are right, is that their God, your God, does not exist. He doesn't, because God's not just one person, but many. Okay? That's how I'm putting it, alright? And there is gods that created ETs and stuff like that. There's always a central source. What created this God? What created the gods of gods? And stuff like that. And things, it's hard to understand, but it's like the thing on the other side is it just is what it is.
A is pointing to that there's some intelligence here, and there's a lot of other things that are so finely tuned, that are so bearing the markers of design and intelligence. But you know, maybe it could be that we were seeded here. You know, maybe it's, you know, intelligence from another planet. Maybe humanity was seeded here. And I just thought it was so interesting because here you have...
I would say seeded at SEEDED. We are pretty much an experiment. I suppose it's Saragam. I forgot what it is. And it's like, we are a petri dish, all right? We're nothing more than an experiment to the others, and that's it. And like she said, we're a circus. We're like a bunch of monkeys. But the thing is that we could be much more than just a bunch of monkeys that's throwing sticks and stones at each other that could blow up the whole planet and stuff like that. And the flesh makes us bad, makes me bad, makes my anger bad. And my anger and stuff like that is because of the brainwashing and the abuse that I've been through from these stupid groups, you know, saying, you know, and trying to brainwash people that they're demons and all this other bullshit. And that bullshit needs to stop.
Perhaps the most influential pop atheist in the world, at least at the time of that documentary, a total, you know, empiricist, a pure man of science, yet he is open to the idea of intelligent design if it's alien intelligent design. And but the one thing that it certainly cannot be is divine intelligent design. And I just thought it was such a mind-boggling interview moment that I think exposed the double standard. And it was one of the first things that for me, I was like, I could kind of see the spiritual underbelly behind, you know, a lot of things that are dressed up as pure science, but actually do have a spiritual dimensionality to them. And I think it's interesting because a lot of people have that openness to the esoteric, to the spiritual, to the other dimensional, so long as it isn't, you know, silly old Christianity, because that feels like going backwards, but that people actually have an openness. People are way more likely to want to play with a Ouija board than they are to pray. For example.
He's actually right. So, but the thing is, don't use Ouija boards. There's portals that people open up that let real demons in. Watching certain things that have demons in it opens portals for demons to come in and attack you. Demons are very real.
Example, and I just think it's interesting. I think that itself is revealing.
Like the seduction I told you that pulled me in, spirituality without accountability. That's what they want.
Yep. My grandpa was in Southern California, was not a Christian, was super into looking at what he called high flyers, just, like lights in the sky, basically. And, maybe they were satellites or whatever, but they would sit out there, and he would have my dad out there, and he was very into this. He was extremely open to it. He also played with a Ouija board, brought a Ouija board home, would drink a lot, and then start to try to communicate, and things would go on.
The thing is, you let real demonic spirits, you let some spirits out, and they're evil. They'll give you misinformation. They'll lie to you. All right, it's not just angels or demons. They're just other spirits and other intelligence out there that speak to you using these devices, which nobody should use. Because I've had people tell me stories that they've been attacked from using a Ouija board and stuff like that. So I knew never not to use that shit whatsoever.
And my dad has this story where he was like a 9-year-old kid, and one night he was woken up in the middle of the night, and he claims that there was a glowing orb in his room, and it was communicating to him to go out to follow it outside. So he did. And then he's out in the middle of the backyard at middle of the night, and he's like, I was just feeling these amazing just waves of peace and just the most like happy, tranquil, just amazing feelings. And I was following this thing, and then all of a sudden it shifted, and I became aware that this thing was evil, and I felt the absolute just most intense level of fear I've ever felt in my life. And I ran inside into my mom's bed and was just sobbing and crying. And I actually got the chance a couple months ago to corroborate that story, or to ask, do you remember a particular night when my dad just came freaked out running? And she's like, oh yeah, I remember that really well and everything. So anyways, that's been something that I kind of have in the back of my, just personal family story, where you have some of these common elements that you talk about. You have, well, for one, you have alcohol, mm-hmm. which I think is interesting, the way that substances kind of can play. I think about all the DMT experiences and a lot of things that Joe Rogan talks about. There seems to be a portal through substance and the way that the brain is, the mind is constructed. So you have the substance, you have the openness. Just I want to see something, I want to experience something that you were talking about.
Drugs mess up your head. Alcohol, marijuana, ayahuasca, stuff like that, cocaine, other meth will fuck up your head. And if you think you're having a real experience, you're not, because that stuff is fucking with, how your brain can really think and put things together, what's real and what's not. It totally fucks that all up, messes it all up. So you don't know what's real from reality. And people can find good spirits from Ouija stuff, but there's benevolent, and I'm not going to take a chance. I've encountered demonic spirits too many times to use a Ouija board. People's experiences vary, but I've heard of Ouija board attacking a person and just about killing them, stuff like that. And other crazy stuff.
And a lot of time dedicated toward it. Then you have the Ouija board, the desire for communication, and then voila, you have this crazy thing that, at least my dad swears happened. So anyways, I have that in my mind as a reference point that is from a source that I believe and trust, that has a lot of these common elements that you talk about. And do you know John Burke, by the way, who wrote a book called Imagine Heaven, about near-death experiences? Okay, I haven't released that podcast yet, but I was talking with him a couple of weeks ago, and it's really interesting, the commonalities within near-death experiences and some of the stuff that you're talking about as well, because it's a different experience, but there's a lot of overlap with what the NDE experiencers and your area of expertise have. So, which I also think is interesting, kind of that multi-disciplinary overlap.
Even again, back to those red flags that make you go, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Why do we have case testimonies where people who, in the so-called abduction experience, being on board an alien spacecraft, they meet dead relatives? How does that work? That's a major.
They don't all. Oh God, no! I don't know what the hell he's been. They don't. All these other abduction cases that I've come across, what they do, ETs, okay, this is where I've heard it from, is that they'll use psychic tricks, ETs, will implant memories. Okay, they'll use psychic telepathic images, and they'll make you think that they're a family member. I think they're twisted to their own agenda, okay, and stuff like that, about making Christianity relevant, stuff like that. ETs implant memories, they implant images to gain your trust by using family members. That's part of their psychic abilities to do that. Is that they want to gain your trust, because when they're doing these sexual things on you, they don't want you always yelling and crying. Though some seem to get off on it. They don't care. They don't. But it's a way of making things easier if they use those images of, say, being a father, mother, or relative. They'll plant those images on you to make things go easier. You're still going to be crying. It doesn't matter if they use those images or not. It doesn't matter, because rape is taking place and stuff like that. And I'm talking about the inbreeding part. Others, it's not all about inbreeding. Some are on these craft, taken to like other planets, other solar systems, or whatever. Heaven is really a state of mind to where you want to go. It's not just one realm. It's not just, you're above clouds and stuff like that. It's not. It's a state of mind too. Where do you want to go? Where's your what is your heaven? And that's what it is. And stuff. So, I mean, my language is because I get pissed off from the brainwashing abuse I went through, the bullshit of religion. And I just hate that. I have no interest in. They believe in a stupid God that allows suffering to happen and stuff like that. And you say God is love and He isn't. I don't. I don't. I have no respect for that. For people that believe in that. I'm not sorry. I've been through too much suffering in my life. And I've seen Other people suffer too much. That's not what a God does unless he's an evil God, a psychopath. Okay? Too fucking bad. I just have to say. Alright?